The phone call came at 3 in the morning and changed everything I thought I knew about my life. My name is George Robinson, and I had been keeping the biggest secret in the world. A secret so dangerous it could destroy my family. A secret so shameful I would rather die than let anyone discover it. But that night the secret found its way out anyway, and the person who discovered it was the last person I expected. It started 6 months earlier when my older brother Mason came home from his first year of college. He was different somehow. Quieter. More thoughtful. He spent hours locked in his room talking on the phone in whispers. My parents thought he was just adjusting to being back home, but I knew something else was going on. Mason had always been the perfect son. Star athlete in high school. Full scholarship to State University. Girlfriend named Jessica who looked like a model. Everything I was not and never would be. While he was conquering the world, I was hiding in my bedroom wearing our mother's clothes and pretending to be someone else. The femboy thing started when I was 14. I found some of Mom's old dresses in the attic and tried one on as a joke. Except it did not feel like a joke when I looked in the mirror. It felt like coming home. Like finding the person I was supposed to be underneath all the expectations and disappointments. For 3 years I had been living 2 lives. During the day I was George, the quiet, shy kid who got picked on at school and ignored at home. At night I became Grace. Grace had long blonde hair from wigs I ordered online. Grace had curves from padding and shapewear. Grace was beautiful and confident, and everything George could never be. Nobody knew about Grace. Not my parents, who were too busy with their own problems to notice what their younger son was doing. Not the kids at school who barely knew I existed. Not even Mason, who was too wrapped up in his own perfect life to pay attention to his weird little brother. But that was about to change in the worst way possible. It was a Saturday night in July, and my parents had gone to some work party. Mason said he was staying in to study, but I could hear him on the phone again talking in those same mysterious whispers. I waited until his light went out, then began my nightly transformation. Tonight felt special somehow. I had just gotten a new dress in the mail. A soft pink sundress that made me look actually feminine instead of like a boy playing dress up. I did my makeup extra carefully and put on the blonde wig that made me feel most like myself. Looking in the mirror that night, I saw Grace more clearly than ever before. She was real. She mattered. She was worth loving, even if nobody would ever get the chance to love her. I was so lost in admiring my reflection that I did not hear the footsteps in the hallway, did not notice the bedroom door opening slowly behind me. Did not realize someone was watching until I heard a sharp intake of breath. I spun around and there was Mason standing in my doorway. His face was white as paper and his mouth was hanging open. We stared at each other for what felt like hours. Me in my pink dress and blonde wig. Him in pajamas looking like he had seen a ghost. "George," he said quietly. "What are you doing?" I wanted to lie. To make up some story about a dare or a prank or anything that would make this normal. But looking at my brother's face, I realized lying would only make it worse. The truth was out now, whether I wanted it to be or not. "This is who I am," I whispered. "This is who I have always been." He stepped into my room and closed the door behind him. His hands were shaking and he kept running them through his hair like he always did when he was nervous. "How long?" he asked. 3 years. Maybe longer if you count all the times I wanted to but was too scared. Mason sat down heavily on my bed. He looked like he was going to be sick. I prepared myself for the worst. For him to call me disgusting. For him to tell our parents. For him to never speak to me again. Instead, he started crying. Not just a few tears, but actual sobbing. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and broken inside. I had never seen my perfect brother cry about anything. Even when he broke his arm in 8th grade, he had just gritted his teeth and walked it off. "Mason, what is wrong?" I asked. "I know this is weird, but please do not tell Mom and Dad." "I will stop, I promise. I will get rid of everything and never do it again." "No," he said through his tears. "Do not stop. Do not ever stop being who you are." I stared at him in confusion. This was not the reaction I had expected at all. "I do not understand," I said. Mason looked up at me with red eyes and a face full of pain. "Because I did stop. I stopped being who I was and it almost killed me. Then he told me everything. About his roommate at college. About falling in love for the first time. About the months they spent hiding their relationship from everyone. About the night his roommate's parents found out and threatened to cut him off if he did not end things immediately. His name was David, Mason said quietly. We were together for 8 months. I loved him more than I have ever loved anyone, including Jessica. But when it came down to choosing between love and keeping my perfect life, I chose wrong. My brother was gay. My perfect straight brother who dated the homecoming queen and played football and did everything right was actually gay. And he had given up the person he loved to keep pretending to be someone else. David called me tonight, Mason continued. He wanted to tell me he is transferring schools. Moving back home to California. He said he cannot keep living in places where he has to hide who he is. Are you going to tell him how you feel? I asked. What is the point? I already chose. I chose keeping everyone else happy over being happy myself. I chose being the son Mom and Dad wanted instead of being the person David loved. Mason looked at me in my pink dress and makeup and his face crumpled again. But you, he said. You are braver than I ever was. You found a way to be yourself even if it was just in private. You did not let them kill that part of you. I sat down on the bed next to him. We had never been particularly close growing up. He was always too busy being perfect and I was always too busy being invisible. But in that moment we understood each other completely. I am not brave, I said. I am terrified every single day that someone will find out and hate me for it. Then we can be terrified together, he said. Because I have been living in fear for so long, I forgot what it felt like to be real. We talked until sunrise. Mason told me about David, and I told him about Grace. About the loneliness of having a secret identity. About wanting to be loved for who you really are instead of who you pretend to be. As the sun came up, Mason made a decision that surprised both of us. I am going to California, he said. I am going to find David and tell him I was wrong. Tell him I love him and I do not care what anyone else thinks. What about Mom and Dad? What about your perfect life? What good is a perfect life if it is not actually your life? 3 days later, Mason left for California. He did not tell our parents the real reason. Just said he needed to take care of some things at school. But he told me the truth before he left. Take care of Grace while I am gone. She is the best part of you. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. That was 2 weeks ago. Mason called yesterday to tell me he found David and they are trying to work things out. It will not be easy, but they are going to figure out how to be together without hiding. I am still Grace every night. Still shy and scared and desperate for someone to love the real me. But now I know I am not alone. My brother understands what it feels like to live 2 lives. And maybe someday I will be as brave as he was. Brave enough to choose love over fear. During one of my quiet moments online, I discovered this website called Prism Stories. They had a feminine size calculator that helped me understand my body better. I measured myself and bought a book called Why I'm a Femboy. Reading it felt like finding other people who understood my journey. We are not broken or wrong or sick. We are just people trying to figure out how to be loved for who we really are. And sometimes the people who love us most are the ones we never expected to understand. My brother taught me that hiding who you are might keep you safe, but it will never make you happy. And maybe being happy is worth the risk after all. Grace is still my secret. But now she is a secret I am proud of instead of ashamed of. And maybe someday she will not have to be a secret at all.